Episode 545 is the long-awaited return of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, even though I'm sure no one has been waiting for it. But I am back tonight with a new episode, and we have a lot of pro wrestling to talk about. TNA Total Nonstop Action is back. Over the weekend, we also saw AEW Saturday Collision, Battle of the Belts 9, and New Japan Pro Wrestling presented Battle in the Valley with a surprising appearance. I'm going to talk about all those shows that took place over the last weekend right here. Right now, 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Hello and welcome to the return of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. Back after a little while. Like I said in that little opener there, not sure how many people have been waiting for 360 Wrestling Fanatic to come back, but I am back. And as I have said, Lance Brock here once again. I talked about this, but over the weekend it finally happened. The return of Total Nonstop Action Wrestling with TNA Hard to Kill live on pay-per-view. But if that wasn't big enough, Saturday night we also had AEW Saturday Collision, which was followed by a 1-hour edition of AEW Battle of the Belts 9. And for about the last part of those shows, starting around 10 p.m., was New Japan Pro Wrestling Battle in the Valley, which started 10 p.m. Eastern, which was available on NJPW World. But what I understand is the replay of it is available in Japanese only. So if you want to hear the English commentary for the show, you have to order it on Triller Plus, the former Fight TV. And let's not waste any more time. Not gonna flap my gums anymore. Gonna get right into the action. And let's start off Saturday night. I have been talking about this for months since it was announced at the end of the Bound for Glory pay-per-view in October. In 2024, we found out that TNA Total Nonstop Action Wrestling was returning to the world of pro wrestling with Hard to Kill live from the Palms, the Pearl Theater in Las Vegas, Nevada. I have to admit, sometimes, especially with pro wrestling, when a show is announced big show is announced far in advance, I kind of get so excited about it that it almost starts to feel like the date of the show is never going to get here. I'm just so looking forward to it. But it finally came January 13th, 2024. TNA Hard to Kill. We kick off in the Palms, which is the highest attended TNA show in the last 8 years, which for TNA as of late is very good. And our commentators for tonight, Tom Hannafin and the Drama King Matthew Raywalt. And first, I usually pay attention to these details. The entrance, we do have a different screen and a different kind of tunnel that was to the right of the stage. And not sure if this is going to be a regular permanent thing. It might depend on what venue they are in each week. But we had the more long runway style kind of ramp that goes to the ring. And we had the yellow ropes with a TNA logo in the middle. And then in the corners, we had the Access TV and the Fight Network logo. Also, the sponsor for the night, the Mummy Murders, which I'm guessing is a movie that's probably available on streaming. I'm guessing. I've never heard of it until TNA started talking about it. But like I said, we started off with the Countdown Hard to Kill, which not only can you order on a traditional pay-per-view, I believe, but also Triller, just regular Triller, not Triller Plus, but also you can now order the live TNA pay-per-views on the TNA Plus app, which I haven't had TNA Plus too long, but I have noticed some differences since they switched from TNA Plus to Impact Plus. I wouldn't really say they're bad differences, but one, I've talked about this already, I think, but one main difference is the live 24/7 stream that they used to have on the Impact Plus app. That was free. You could just go on and watch the countdown shows. Usually they had on there, but they have like the classic Wednesday night pay-per-views, episodes of Impact, and episodes of the shows they've had before, TNA Epics, TNA Greatest Matches. But if you do want to watch those are still available on some of the TNA channels on the free streaming services like Pluto, the Roku channel, Plex, or whichever ones they're on. And now back to the Countdown to Hard to Kill. In our opening match, we have Steve Macklin in action, which I have to admit, I'm kind of surprised that he was on the Countdown show for the first TNA pay-per-view back. He's taking on Rich Swann. Macklin gets the win, 10 minutes, 22 seconds. Good opening match. And like I said, I was a little surprised to see Steve Macklin in the first match. But I have to admit, though, that Tom Hannafin and Matthew Raywalt, they did do a good job of really making a big deal of this being the first match in the new rebirth of TNA. They did do a good job of making that seem like it was something big. Also, during the countdown to Hard to Kill, we see Jade Chung in the back, and we have a new faction formed called the System, which is Eddie and Alicia Edwards, the most professional wrestler Brian Myers, and Moose. Two of the members of this new faction are in action now, taking on the team of two TNA originals, Frankie Kazarian and Eric Young. And the System, Edwards and Myers, get the win, 8 minutes, 6 seconds. It was a pretty good match here, but I have to admit, like I said about the first match, this being the opening match for the first TNA pay-per-view in 8 years, I thought they might have had Young and Kazarian, since they are the TNA originals, go over in this one. But they put Myers and Edwards over. And our first title match in the new TNA era is a no disqualification match for the TNA Digital Media Championship. And it is Crazy Steve defending against the innovator of violence, Tommy Dreamer. Alright match. I wouldn't say it was quite as good as I thought it was going to be, but didn't think this was bad. Of course, a lot of weapons in this one. Crazy Steve used a fork, and at one point he even went under the ring and got a black bag, which in pro wrestling, that big black bag is usually filled with a bunch of thumbtacks or broken glass, who knows what. But in this case, the bag had a bunch of forks in it, and Crazy Steve proceeded to put some of the forks down the shirt of Tommy Dreamer and on top of the chest of Dreamer as well. And then did something that might not have been very smart. Yeah, I thought he was going to get a running start, do a running drop kick, kicking the forks into the chest of Dreamer, but instead he did a cannonball into Tommy Dreamer with the forks on his chest, which I said probably not the smartest idea, because not only is that driving the forks into the chest of Tommy Dreamer, but also into the back of Crazy Steve. But I guess that fits him with the name Crazy Steve. And before he does that, though, actually, I forgot to mention, he started singing the song again that he has been singing lately. The angel of death has come to Tommy's room, and now it's time to die. He sang that just before he did that cannonball, and Crazy Steve gets the win, defeating Tommy Dreamer. 11 minutes, 9 seconds. to retain the TNA Digital Media Championship. And we start off the main card of TNA Hard to Kill with the Knockouts Ultimate X, where the winner of Ultimate X will become the number one contender for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. And in this match, it is Giselle Shaw representing the System, Alicia Edwards, Danny Luna representing Subculture, Jody Threat, Tasha Steeles, and making her TNA Wrestling debut, Xia Brookside. Kicking off the pay-per-view, I thought this was a pretty good match. We definitely, as usual, in Ultimate X, saw some high-risk maneuvers in this one. I thought all these ladies put it all out on the line. And in her debut, I thought Xia Brookside was very impressive in this one. Definitely hope to see what the future holds for her in TNA. But it is Giselle Shaw grabbing the X, getting the win in 12 minutes. So now the new number one contender for the TNA Knockouts Championship is Giselle Shaw. And Hard to Kill continues with Dirty Dango coming out with Alpha Bravo, and Oleg Prudis comes out, cuts a promo, and he says, "God, do I hate TNA wrestling." But this match is cut very short and ends in a disqualification when we get interference from Rhino and Jake something. But then we see TNA Director of Authority, Santino Marella, and he is not going to let the match in the new TNA era end like that. And we now have a 6-man tag. The team of Dirty Dango, Alpha Bravo, and Oleg Prudis taking on PCO, Rhino, and Jake something. This one doesn't go too long either, but it is Rhino, Jake something, and PCO getting the win. 7 minutes, 20 seconds. Next up, the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championships are on the line in an unannounced match, as we have the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Champions MK Ultra, Killer Kelly, and Masha Slamovich make their way to the ring. And their opponents, no longer Courtney Rush and Jessica, but it is the return of Decay, Rosemary, and Jessica Havoc. They are back, and they defeat Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich to win the Knockouts Tag Team titles. 6 minutes, 15 seconds. Next up, in my opinion, possibly one of the matches of the night. A 3-way match for the TNA X Division Championship. And we have one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin, taking on El Hijo del Vikingo and Kushida. Fantastic match. Definitely a match recommendation. All I have to say is, if for some reason you missed Hard to Kill, definitely, if you see the replay, this match for the X Division Championship, definitely worth checking out. because if you missed it, you definitely missed out. And before this match, actually, we see TNA President Scott D'Amore come out with Dory Rodon from AAA, and they announced the partnership between TNA and AAA, which, don't get me wrong, I think it's great, but I just think it's kind of funny that they're announcing this now as an official partnership when TNA and AAA have actually been working together for many of years now, and maybe this means they're going to do something similar like they did with New Japan and do the Multiverse United 3 or something and have AAA involved as well. I guess that could be a possibility. Next up, we have the walking weapon, Josh Alexander, taking on one of the hottest free agents in pro wrestling today, Alex Hammerstone. And this one was one of the matches I was definitely looking forward to the most to seeing on this pay-per-view. Big fan of Josh Alexander for a long time now. Been following Alex Hammerstone on the indies for a while as well. And in my opinion, this match definitely over-delivered and did not disappoint at all. Fantastic match. And once again, another match recommendation. If for some reason you did not see Hard to Kill last Saturday night, you definitely have to go out of your way and check out this match between Josh Alexander and Alex Hammerstone. Great pro wrestling action in this one. 15 minutes. Like I said, definitely one of my picks for match of the night. And we have a 4-way tag team matchup next for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. It is ABC, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay defending against the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz. Laredo Kid filling in for Trent Seven, who had travel issues and wasn't able to make the pay-per-view, teaming with Speedball Mike Bailey, taking on former NXT Tag Team Grizzled Young Veterans, James Drake and Zach Gibson. This is another really good match that I'd say over-delivered. ABC get the win to retain the tag titles, 14 minutes, 15 seconds. And we continue with Hard to Kill for the TNA Knockouts World Championship. Jordan Grace taking on the TNA Knockouts Championship Trinity. Jordan Grace cashing in her Call Your Shot victory to get this title shot. And like I said before, we get the in-ring introductions from the new TNA ring announcer, Jade Chung, who of course is the wife of Josh Alexander, which, don't get me wrong, I thought she did a fine job, but I have to admit, I do kind of miss Dave Penzer doing the ring announcing. Was always a big fan of his from the WCW days, but Jade Chung did a fine job. Really good match here. Great main event. Trinity getting the win, defeating Jordan Grace. 14 minutes, 30 seconds. Really good match. And there's sportsmanship after this one. They both hug. And there's been a lot of talk about Trinity lately, possibly returning to WWE. As of right now, I do not know if that is true just yet. I do not read spoilers, but what I have seen is that Trinity did have a match at Snake Eyes Sunday night, which was, I want to say maybe they were doing a couple weeks worth of TV tapings for TNA Impact coming up. So we will just have to wait and see if Trinity, the former Naomi, will be returning to WWE or not. And now in the main event of TNA Hard to Kill 2013 for the TNA World Championship, Moose defending against Alex Shelley. Moose also cashing in his Call Your Shot Battle Royal victory to get this TNA World Championship match to take on Alex Shelley in the main event tonight. Really good match. It went a little longer than I thought, but still really good. And we see Moose get the win, defeating Alex Shelley to become the new TNA World Champion, the first new World Champion in the new TNA era. And then after the match, the System, they all come out on the stage and start applauding Moose. And then while they're cheering Moose on and everything, we hear some unfamiliar music. And then a video comes up on the screen, and we see the name Nick Nemeth. And if for some reason there's anybody listening that does not know that name, does not know who it is, of course, that is the former Dolph Ziggler. But he does not come from the tunnel. He appears in the ring behind Moose and hits him with a zigzag, which I'm guessing will probably be renamed in the future. And then he goes through the crowd and takes his shirt off, revealing a TNA logo t-shirt. And Hard to Kill goes off the air. I thought it was a great pay-per-view and definitely had a lot of solid pro wrestling on it. And I know I said this for a few matches, but definitely worth checking out the replay of. If for some reason you did not see it live, definitely check it out either on Triller or try out the TNA Plus app. I know I have been talking about it a lot lately, but definitely worth checking out. And the next monthly special premium live event, I believe, is sometime in February. I want to say No Surrender. And this TNA Plus, the new version of it, has 2 packages. $7.99, you get access to all the library and the monthly PLEs that are exclusive on TNA Plus. And then for $9.99, you get the monthly live pay-per-views included. So either which package you subscribe to, I think that is definitely worth checking out. Like I said, whichever one you subscribe to. No matter if you subscribe to the one for $7.99 with the TNA Plus specials only included, or if you go up to the one with the pay-per-views. Both of them, in my opinion anyway, a great deal. And now let's move over to TNT and talk a little bit, not going to go over the whole show, but go a little bit over New Japan Pro Wrestling Battle in the Valley. And I'm just going to go ahead, since this was at the beginning of it, talk about probably the biggest thing to come out of Battle in the Valley. And that was the appearance of Jungle Boy Jack Perry after the match with Jacob Fatu, Fred Razer, and Shota Umino, taking on Team Filthy, Team Lawler, Orel Nelson, and Royce Isaacs, Team Filthy. That went 8 minutes 59 seconds. But after the match, we see a masked man make his way from the crowd. He takes the mask off, and it is none other than Jungle Boy Jack Perry. We have not seen Jack Perry on AEW television since the incident with CM Punk back at All in London. And he enters the ring. He pulls out what appears to be an AEW contract, rips it up, and then he puts on an armband that says Scapegoat. And I'm guessing, since AEW does have a working relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling, that this probably just is an angle. You would think anyway. But it will definitely be interesting to see what comes from this. And also on Battle in the Valley, David Finlay defeated TJP, 13 minutes 7 seconds. Gorillas of Destiny defeated Bullet Club War Dogs. Clark Connors and Max Coughlin. Julia defeated Trish Adora in a very good match to retain the NJPW Strong Women's Championship, 13 minutes 2 seconds. The Chosen Bros, Matt Riddle and Jeff Cobb, teaming together again since their days in PWG, defeated the team of TMDK, Zack Sabre Jr. and Bad Dude Tito, 11 minutes 45 seconds. Eddie Kingston successfully defended the AEW American Triple Crown Championship, defeating Gabe Kidd, or actually it ended in a double countout, 11 minutes 22 seconds, but still defended it. Jon Moxley defeated Shingo Takagi, bad at saying some of the names, in a no disqualification match, 26 minutes, 16 seconds. And in the main event of Battle in the Valley, Katsuchika Okada defeated Will Ospreay, 28 minutes, 34 seconds. So that was Battle in the Valley. Great card. I don't know if I would actually say it was overshadowed or not with the whole thing where you have Jack Perry showing up, ripping up what was supposed to have been an AEW contract, all that. But very good matches on this show. Like I said, I believe the replay is on NJPW World, but I think it's Japanese commentary only, and I think if you go to watch anywhere else, you might be blocked. And now we have, let's go over to TNT for first AEW Saturday Collision from Norfolk, Virginia. And just going to go over the matches here. First, we get another edition of the Cope Open, Adam Copeland's Open Challenge. And we see Lee Moriarty come out except with Shane Taylor in his corner. And these two actually have a very pretty good match. 11 minutes, 12 seconds. The Mogul Embassy. Brian Cage, Toa Leona, and Bishop Khan with Prince Nana in their corner defeated Lance Archer and the Righteous to retain the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Championships. 11 minutes, 45 seconds. Dustin Rhodes defeated Willie Mack at 4 minutes, 6 seconds. Hangman Adam Page defeated J.D. Drake of the Workhorsemen with his partner Anthony Henry in his corner, 10 minutes, 38 seconds. And making her in-ring AEW return, Deonna Purrazzo defeating Red Velvet, 6 minutes, 13 seconds. The cold-hearted handsome devil Hook is in action, defeating Kevin Matthews, 1 minute, 10 seconds. Kevin Matthews, the former KM in TNA Impact Wrestling, haven't seen him in a while. And in the main event of Saturday Collision, we have the House of Black, Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews defeating FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood, and Daniel Garcia. And just like most of Daniel Garcia's matches, Daddy Magic Matt Menard was on commentary for this one. And now we go to AEW Battle of the Belts 9. And this one started off pretty wild, actually, because we are informed by Tony Schiavone that there's something going on in the back, and the scheduled AEW World Tag Team Championship street fight has already started in the parking lot. The Sex Gods, Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara taking on the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Absolute Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Like I said, started right off the bat in the parking lot. And then they brawled all over the cars, the car windshields, and eventually they go, but before they go inside, Sammy Guevara disappears for a little bit, and then we see some headlights in the distance, and it is Sammy Guevara in a golf cart. If you remember the first two stadium stampedes, Sammy Guevara was actually the one chased by the golf cart, but this time Sammy Guevara actually gets to drive the golf cart and run over Ricky Starks and Big Bill. They continue to brawl and eventually going inside the arena. And they had kind of like a camera set up over by the announce table. And Big Bill choke slams with, I should say, help from Powerhouse Hobbs. Choke slams, or power bombs, I should say, power bombs Chris Jericho through the timekeeper's table. And Ricky Starks and Big Bill retain 18 minutes, 15 seconds. I think the reason, or one of the reasons maybe they might have started Battle of the Belts off this way was instead of giving Jericho a big entrance and getting a lot of boos again, that they kind of decided to keep the entrance, or cut it, I should say. And like I said, they did eventually work their way into the arena. Still a very good match though, especially for Battle of the Belts, which I wouldn't say has had some of the best matches, but this one was still very good. And that AEW TBS Championship on the line. Julia Hart defeating Anna Jay via submission, 10 minutes, 16 seconds. And in the main event of Battle of the Belts 9, we have freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy defeating Preston Vance to retain the AEW International Championship, 11 minutes, 17 seconds. Once again, a really good main event. And like I said, this was probably one of the better Battle of the Belts specials that AEW has had since they have been doing them. Especially that tag team title street fight. Definitely one of the better matches they have had on Battle of the Belts. And now, tonight, it's Wednesday. You know what that means. Time to talk about AEW Dynamite. Dynamite tonight was live from the North Charleston Coliseum in North Charleston, South Carolina, live on TBS. Our commentators tonight, we had no Tony Schiavone, Excalibur, Taz, and Ian Riccaboni filling in for Tony Schiavone tonight. And tonight on Dynamite, we have for the AEW TNT Championship, the Patriarch Christian Cage, along with Killswitch and Nick Wayne, successfully defending against the Natural Dustin Rhodes, 15 minutes, 25 seconds. Tag team action up next. The AEW International Championship on the line. Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta defending against Chuck Taylor and Penta El Zero Miedo and Commander, with Alex Abrahantes and Rey Fenix in their corner, 10 minutes, 15 seconds. Next up, the Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team Championships are on the line. The new faction, maybe, joining forces, Bullet Club Gold, Switchblade Jay White, teaming with Austin and Colton Gunn to take on the Mogul Embassy, Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony, with Prince Nana in their corner. And in 9 minutes 30 seconds, I think it's safe to say maybe saw an upset here, as Bullet Club Gold become the new Ring of Honor World 6-Man Tag Team Champions, getting the win. We will have to see if this new faction lasts, if these two can, or if these three, I should say, can coexist. And next up, Deonna Purrazzo defeats Anna Jay 6 minutes 41 seconds, and the AEW Women's World Champion, Timeless Toni Storm, is on commentary for the match. Tag team action up next on Dynamite. Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn defeat Top Fight, Dante Martin and Darius Martin 10 minutes 15 seconds. And now it is time for our AEW Dynamite main event of the evening. For the AEW World Championship, the Samoan Submission Machine, the AEW World Champion, Samoa Joe, taking on the cold-hearted, handsome devil, Hook. Definitely a good match. I was impressed with the way AEW made Hook. And I was right. They did have Samoa Joe go ringside, power bomb him on the announce table, and mainly Hook's head landed on it, but the whole broadcast table, the whole desk just completely broke, and he picked him up again, slammed him on the ring apron. And Taz, like I said this morning on Good Morning Wrestling Fans, he did show some, easy for me to say, he did show some concern for his son, but didn't really get involved quite as much as I thought he would. And a couple of times Hook did get back up. Yes, Samoa Joe did get the win, and then Hook got up a couple times, and he said something like, "Oh, is that all you got?" Samoa Joe then went back in the ring, delivered more punishment to Hook, and then we get the save from Hangman Adam Page. And then we see Swerve Strickland at ringside along with Prince Nana. And as of right now, it looks possibly the main event for AEW Revolution, March 3rd on pay-per-view. We could possibly see a three-way match for the AEW World Championship. Samoa Joe defending against Hangman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, unless before then they decide to maybe have a number one contenders match between Swerve and Hangman, and then could make it a singles match. But I think since you really don't see multi-man matches headlining pay-per-views for the main titles in AEW very often, I'd have to say that I think you should probably go with the three-way match for the world title. Swerve Strickland definitely been hot lately. You can say the same thing for Hangman Adam Page as well. I think that would be a really good match. And also, I apologize for this, but I did forget to mention something important when I talked about Hard to Kill. And unfortunately, it is sad news that 1 year ago today was the unfortunate passing of Jay Briscoe in that horrible car accident. And I believe it was the same tribute video that they showed last year at the time of his passing. But the good news is that the family of Jay Briscoe was at Dynamite tonight. And Mark Briscoe came out, got on the microphone, and talked about how the doctors said that his oldest daughter would probably never walk again. And then we see her walk out on the stage with her sister and her brother, the other son of Jay Briscoe. And very good to see that both of them are doing much better now. And I'm glad they did show the tribute video again tonight on Dynamite to honor the memory of Jay Briscoe, probably one of the best tag teams in Ring of Honor history, pro wrestling history, and just unfortunately was a team that really didn't get quite as much of national exposure as they deserved as being one of the top tag teams in pro wrestling. But definitely rest in peace, Jay Briscoe. Definitely does not seem like it has been 1 year since that tragic car accident. And also, another thing I forgot to mention during Hard to Kill was the appearance of the former Dana Brooke, Ash by Elegance, her new gimmick in TNA, which to me kind of makes it sound like some kind of fancy perfume. And also, I know I'm seeing this late, but yes, it was announced earlier today that Tony Schiavone was going to be out sick. So Ian Riccaboni was filling in for him tonight on Dynamite. And that is about all the news I have right now for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. I know this episode that I wanted to do was late, but I finally did it, and you know what they say, better late than never, right? So I finally got it out. Tomorrow night we have the first episode of TNA Impact in the new TNA era. I know that's what everybody is saying now. And I do hope to have an episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic talking about that. Oh, but first, I will be back tomorrow morning for Good Morning Wrestling fans. So stay tuned. Like I always say, the best way to keep up is probably on X/Twitter, whichever you call it these days, at 360 Wrestling Pod. Because right when I do an episode of a podcast, it is tweeted out there on X at 360 Wrestling Pod. So if you can, please go there and follow. Also, in the comment section, either here on Spreaker, YouTube, or wherever you listen to the podcast, feel free to leave your feedback, your thoughts, and your opinions on all the wrestling you may have watched over the weekend and tonight's AEW Dynamite as well. Or you can email me your thoughts, your opinions, and anything else you might want to say. Like I said, email to me 360wrestlingpodcast at gmail.com. I usually put it in the description. Once again, thank you very much, everyone, for listening tonight. Hopefully we'll talk to everyone tomorrow. Until then, I am Lance, and I am a wrestling fanatic.